What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about a little interesting, interview and question posed to Skeet Ulrich and his response in regards to Scream 7. This is really I think maybe the first time that we've heard anything as to what the movie might have been. Now, it's very little. I'm not here to clickbait. I'm not here to mislead you. It's very, very little, but it's a little bit about Sam's, kind of character arc. And again, in terms of where the movies were going, I don't really think anybody has spoken out. And look, whatever version of Scream 7 we get is clearly not going to be this one, considering Sam's character, is intended to be, again, the lead. And obviously that's not going to happen. So it's interesting to think of the what if. It makes me a little upset or mad, again, because it's like, oh man, they were going to deal with an interesting thing. And let's read it out, okay? Now, they pose a question to him, and we'll kind of just read that paragraph, and then we'll read his response, and then we'll talk about it. Okay, so they say, in the exclusive interview with him, he reveals that Sam's character arc was originally pitched to him as one that would take place across 3 movies. The in-development Scream 7 may have more fully explored Sam's connection to Billy and whether her heritage gives her a desire to kill, according to the actor. And then his full comment was exactly that. I was hoping for exactly that, and that's sort of the idea that was pitched to me a couple of years ago, that it was a 3-movie arc, and with that in mind. Now, I never saw any of the drafts of 7 or anything, so I don't know. I mean, it's possible that I didn't include any of that as well. But yeah, that was my hope, is that if it was going to mean anything, that it's directly impacted the plot. So a little, the words are kind of jumbled up there, but so 2 different kind of parts to it, right? So his response, which I think, again, is a little bit more messy. Their question, which they don't say just in fine print what exactly the question was, but it was maybe something like a suggestion, hey, was the idea that she is your daughter, was that gonna really come all the way out with Scream 7? Was that gonna play out that way? And his answer basically is yes, right? That was the arc that he was talked or pitched, a few years ago. So it makes me mad. It makes me intrigued, in terms of what it was, because now, is it anything massively or radically new? Not really. It's kind of what we've talked about for so long, really almost years at this point, right? Where, although I will say one thing, this, I think, further adds all the people, and I'm not here to start fights or anything, but the people that think that Scream 6 definitively ended, I've always taken the position that, it's a solid ending if that's where you would literally end the franchise, and by accident or by mistake or on purpose, if you ended it there, I think it's fine. I don't think it's perfect. I don't think it's amazing, and I've definitely seen people run with that, where it's oh, that's good. That's a great ending, actually, of these 2. Not really. It's a fine ending, but it's not amazing or good or anything like that. That's where I've always stood. This further adds to it because, without a shadow of a doubt, right? And again, is that radically different from what we've been thinking this whole time? We knew there was a 7th. You're going to make a 3rd movie in this trilogy. You'd obviously have Sam as the main character. But again, I will say in terms of, okay, well, has she fully let go of Billy? Well, my answer has always been at the end of 6, no. Yes, she drops the mask, but she took the mask in the first place, and she's had this problem throughout all of 6 of kind of forgetting, right? She doesn't even know that she's doing these things. She has to be snapped out of it by mainly Tara. Tara's kind of always the one to pull her back, right? Which I love. I thought that was actually really good. And so, again, my argument has been she drops the mask, yeah, but she took it, and she didn't even know she took it. So he's still in there, right? And I find that cool. I find that fascinating. And I obviously wanted it to continue. So his comments tell me, obviously, it was going to continue. And the move probably would have been where they really wrestled with, if you're his blood, does that make you, by trade, a killer? And they already actually got very close in 6, where at this point, she kind of is. She kind of enjoys it. If she doesn't enjoy it, she definitely has no problem doing it. And maybe that's something, that's what makes me so frustrated. You could have explored that, in the next movie, where it's hey, maybe you like it. It certainly seems like you like it. In fact, it almost seems like Tara likes it too. Maybe you like it, maybe you don't like it. But you have no problem doing it. And is that a problem? And considering you're descended from him, your bloodline, is that something that we need to check out or make sure everything's okay on a day-to-day basis? I think that would have been really cool. And that's from his comments, it seems like that's where it was moving, right? Where you'd have to have that discussion or like look at her as a character where, again, it's like, okay, do you want to, I think they would have tackled the idea of like, is she a literal Ghostface? Like, could she become that? Or does she have to just kind of embrace that darkness, that like bad energy that's inside her? You don't have to give over to it, which would be becoming Ghostface, but you can't necessarily get rid of it. Like, it's kind of just a part of you. I heavily imagine that would have been the idea, and I highly doubt you would have made her Ghostface, even though, I mean, again, that would have been very different. You would have been taking a very different turn, I think, than obviously any of these previous movies. So I think that would have been a fun little character dynamic. Actually, not little. That would have been the character dynamic of Scream 7. So, again, kind of interesting because hopefully, I mean, I imagine in the next few years, whether you get a Scream 7 or you don't, I wonder if these kind of things will pop up. I wonder if they ever told Neve Campbell anything, back with Scream 5. Like, did they have, it seems like they did have a rough outline of like what they wanted to do with these characters. The core, that's the thing though, like, Skeet kind of being on the outside looking in. Neve was definitely more on the inside, I guess, with 5, but she kind of was still an outsider in terms of, returning and all that stuff. Did they tell her? Did they pitch her any idea of maybe something with Sydney, or even just, hey, here's what we're thinking with like the new cast. Here's kind of what we want to do with them. We'll just run it by you. Not like she has to give her approval, but like, we'll just see what you think about it. I wonder if these people know these things, and I wonder if it was told to more people. And then I also wonder if that stuff comes out as these years go on. So we'll see what happens. But obviously this would have been cool, and it's disappointing, but it's definitely, I think, an interesting story that we might see more of as the years go on. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on. I hope to see you all on the next one.